This conference will now be recorded.
On this, or what's the purpose of it?
Just to access his neighbor's backyard. You know, I'm not sure if he's putting in a driveway or just, who knows for sure.
Is there a parcel to the north, or what's right north of that property, that parcel A on the map?
Yeah, I believe it's another, another lot right there.
Does the neighbor want to get into this guy's backyard, or
I think it's the opposite, isn't it?
is it the other way around? This guy wants to get into this guy's backyard.
Well, the neighbor would like an easement to
Yeah,
his
he's trying
backyard.
to, Kevin's trying to take a piece of his property and make it an easement so that the neighbor can access his own backyard. Not Kevin's backyard,
The
but
neighbor's own
his
backyard.
backyard.
Property on North Main Street, the one on Sugarloaf?
No, it's North Main Street. It's,
Okay.
Kevin's working on it. He's redoing the house.
What's the FPID? I don't have my laptop in, so it'll get it up a little larger.
Wondering why the camera wasn't working.
I've walked up there and looked at it, but I couldn't tell.
We had to
Exactly
cover it
what
up
it is.
because of the election.
Oh,
I'd reach up there and take that off, but
You want to get on my shoulders? Will we still be short?
that's weird.
yeah.
We had Kurt.
I can turn it.
Yesterday.
I know,
Yeah, it's
they walked in
pretty close.
together, I was like, they were pretty close.
That's pretty impressive, actually. Okay.
Which one?
I think it's this property right here. It's in the cul-de-sac.
Pearl Street there.
Yeah, it's in the cul-de-sac, I'm just pulling this up here. 200. Okay, here we go.
See,
So
it's right,
it's Kings, so if you look at it,
it's right there by that little
see right here?
shed.
It's
Mhm.
right. It's pretty tight on that. Looks like there's a shed over it
Oh,
too.
so it's, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, I was here, I guess I do know about this a little bit, that was when Kevin was up there.
Come in that direction, Kim.
So how
Show
did
me
they
what
get
it's.
to that property before?
So they,
On the
so
back?
this portion basically.
Or is it their backyard?
No, it's just a yard.
Yeah.
Did they butt into the other one, butts into the
So
street,
that
they want to
these-
get to the
these
backyard?
guys-
So
Well,
they
this
wanna
is
have
kind
enough
of,
room
yeah,
to get back.
Kevin wants to give
That's-
him
Back, it's the back
because
And being
it's
that
tighter than
Kevin's
ours.
reworking that
Oh, I see.
house, they got talking, we're like a little more land there.
So what, explain this to me, what house does Kevin own?
From,
They're redoing this house right here.
That's the one Kevin owns. Yep, that's the one Kevin owns.
Yep.
I knew it was.
Who owns
It's
that
the
garage
front,
then?
Little garage, the next house to the north, Kevin was cutting, new shingling it, redoing it.
There's a big garage.
Sell it, and now he wants to do
Okay.
two-car garage, just before unattached.
But I'm, that one garage that's kind of by itself, it's like a three, who owns that?
Adam Warwick.
Okay.
The house this side, if they still live, he was a
Oh, Adam does own that?
plumber.
Well, that's who's on the tax.
Yeah, he was a heater.
Yeah.
We okayed that for a sign many years ago for his air conditioning or plumbing or
Yeah, it
something.
wasn't Warwick though, that was
It was
Schneiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there for just a little while.
He doesn't own the business anymore. I don't know what he does.
But there's a lot of side yard for Kevin Nelson's, and so he's just.
So what does
looking into
Kel-
A little bit to,
So what did you want? I mean, I don't understand the purpose of this.
it's the
just to
back.
provide more access. Because it's pretty tight to the garage right there, making it a little wider that way, so kind of splitting up the lawns a little bit. More side yard and less.
But Kevin owns this,
Yep. And he's.
and he wants to give that person more yard.
Yes.
Mhm. He's trying to help the neighbor. Yeah.
there's probably obviously some monetary issues in
Oh,
there. But,
I'm sure.
I mean, I don't see an issue with it.
No, from our standpoint, from a city standpoint,
So he's basically gonna give parcel A to the neighbors.
Yep.
The sale of. Do we have to do any legal description on that, on the title transfer on that section?
we don't, they'll have to do.
But I
that's
mean,
what-
they'll have to do, Matt will do
They've got
that.
the
or
wording,
whoever.
so
Okay.
with the survey and everything here, so too, so yes. Yep, they'll have legal paperwork to do, but I guess the staff recommendation from the city would be, yeah, I don't see any reason why not to move forward with that.
I'll make a motion to approve that minor subdivision application for 368 North Main Street.
I'll second it.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. CEDA Regional Development Tour, September 28th, Mr. Kirk.
Just real quick, so the 28th, CETA is going to host a regional development tour, which will be a busload of about 50 realtors and economic developers and people who are looking to invest in communities. There's 3 communities, Zumbrota, Goodhue, and Lake City. Zumbrota, it's going to end in Zumbrota on the 28th. The tour, they're having a reception out at the Covered Bridge Restaurant. And various people are invited if they'd like to show networking. And it's going to be a really positive thing for the city of Zumbrota. It's about a 45-minute bus tour. I think we're the last city. They were going to start here, but I think they're going to be here last. And showcasing, the growth of Zumbrota and all the positives of the city and what's going to happen. And so I thought I'd share that date with everybody. On the 24th of August, there will be a photo shoot going on. CETA's going to come take pictures in downtown, various places around.
Oh, I thought we were gonna have makeup on the mayor and stuff.
I ain't wearing no big. So this is what you want me to
Yeah.
interview for?
Yeah, and like I said, the interview, we had one question, like a couple questions.
Do we happen to know who's all gonna be on that bus? I mean,
No,
names,
they haven't said specific people. They said there's gonna be 50 people.
who's putting that on, CETA?
CETA.
Like politicians or?
No, I believe it's-
People like this or?
It's developers, people looking to, yeah, a lot of developers, the way it sounds.
Well,
That would be something though, that if we do right, you can get that, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like you talked about drone, talking about a covered bridge, talking about our trails, talking about other subdivisions. I just talked to a developer the other day on a different issue. And we talked about a couple other small towns around here that have nothing going in the standpoint of subdivisions. And that Zumbrota does, and I was kind of saying, hey, we need a couple more going, a little bit more on a first-time home buyer subdivision and also some higher-end homes. So I got his opinion on that. They're kind of getting geared up for a recession because the talks are next year that there's going to be recession. How long it is depends on who you talk to. So they're kind of a little bit hesitant, but at least I got the word out. So it'd be interesting to see or find out who's on there to kind of maybe when we interview or whoever on the 24th, what areas we kind of want to hone in on.
And they haven't said anything to me about who's on it, but.
Who's putting that on, Ron? Is Ron kind of the?
Yeah, Chris Gassner and
Okay.
Joya.
Joya is kind of, and we will have a professional video that comes out of that will be ours, that we can post.
Who's putting that? Is Tita doing that too?
Joya and that, yeah, they do yep, and they've done this tour for how many years? Quite a few years. We just haven't been on it, I don't think.
Last couple of years they haven't, because of COVID, but
Yeah,
they've done it 3 or 4 or 5
so
times.
to be selected to be on that and have a busload of potential developers and interested, that's a big deal. It's a whole production. They do a nice job with it, so we're gonna give them everything they need to showcase Zumbrota, including an interview with Todd.
Perfect. Love it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean,
Nothing really updated on what
yeah,
I've
see if
heard.
you can't find, I mean, I can call Chris or even Ron just to see obviously who they're inviting and what the names and just to be interested to see before I interview or questions, how I answer, depending on the clientele or which way you're
If we're
going
gonna
at
have a
it.
video though for general use, you wanna have it broad enough to cover other situations too.
Well, yeah, but I think it's gonna, I mean, if it's pinpoint to that area, are you hitting the arts
Yeah.
category? Are you hitting actual developers? I mean, are there some big name developers on there? I mean, it'd just be interesting to see who they're catering to. Perfect. Thanks for that, Kurt. 5C. Don, Kent.
Yep, let me lead this one off. I've been involved quite a bit after the fact. So Don was here on November 9th, just talking about an addition he wants to do. We had been talking to Dylan a little bit. At that time, it was thought that the setback was 30 feet. It's not. This PUD did not amend the rear yard setback for the R1. R1, of course, is 35 feet. The PUD left it at 35 feet. What they amended was the front yard setback. So in November, and I just watched the video of the meeting, in November, the discussion focused around, well, it's only 4 inches. Do a variance, ask Don to put together variance paperwork and get that back in to be considered by the planning commission. Well, we realized that no, it's 35 feet. So now all of a sudden, Don needs 4 feet 10 inches or 4 feet 8 inches, depending on where you measure, right about 5 feet, to be able to get this 16-foot addition in there. So that kind of got me looking at other houses out there to see where are their porches, because there's a lot of porches out there. How do they fall? I started out looking at the GIS. Of course, in the meeting, Matt had said, don't ever rely on the GIS. So I scratched that idea and I went to the files and pulled files. Now I can pull 4 or 5 plans that show a deck at 30 feet, which is allowed. But when I do look at the GIS, then not measuring, there's roofs on a number of these decks. How that happened, I don't know. Theoretically, they all have certificate of occupancies. I talked to at least one of the homeowners and he said, no, it was built that way. All right, as a porch at 30 feet. So that creates a dilemma, and I've been speaking with Matt Rockney about this. That creates a dilemma about, well, if we've allowed it before, then how do we not allow it again? But the question still is, did we allow it if the plan shows a deck, but in reality, it ended up with a roof out there? Who allowed it? Do we allow it? Not really. So I don't know. I don't know exactly. So I just said, Don, why don't you come back in here? Again, we'll lay it out, and this is where we're at. What I can see is that we've got a few different avenues. One avenue would be to say, yep, Don, do a variance. We'll consider it. We'll consider the merits of, you back up to the golf course, you've got 1,000 feet of grass behind you. Now that brings in all those houses, of course, along the golf course. Same issue though, is keeping in mind that there's 2 or 3 along the golf course that are already at 30 feet with a roof. So there's something to be considered there, I think, for those houses. And I would say consider them individually as the variances come in. You're probably going to get more if you pass one. That's option number 1. Option number 2 would be to say, hey, Don, it's never going to get passed. We're not going to do it at 30 feet. Option 3 would be, all right, Don, make a request to amend the PUD. Because, it's 30 feet, they're already there. I talked to Tony Bigelow. He wasn't sure why it was 35 feet. He thought it should be 30. Not sure why they did it that way back then in the Highlands. So there's a few different options of what we can tell Don or what you can choose to tell Don. And of course, it's your decision. This is not mine. So that's why we kind of wanted to bring it to you guys to see, what your thoughts are. What are the next steps that we should go through? In speaking with Matt, he's kind of caught between, there's some existing there and the actual language of the PUD is 35 feet. And so how do we reconcile that?
So who filed the PUD? That was Bigelow?
That was Bigelow as the developer. Yep, back in 1993.
They basically overlooked their
Well, no, I think there was a reason why it's 35 feet, and I think probably because they didn't want to encroach on the golf course, or they wanted more, smaller front yards. Well, here's Matt now. Smaller front yards and bigger
You're late.
backyards on the golf course. I'm guessing was the reason. Oh, that's where you were? But, everything I have researched is that PUD is 35 feet. It's what it is.
Do you have any more input you want to give on, we're talking obviously Don's property and that, and via emails today. Do you have anything you want to add prior to opening it up for discussion amongst?
I just ran through
Yeah.
I ran through the options that I see, either say, nope, Don, we're not going to entertain a variance because it's 35 feet, you're going to be 5 feet into it. Number two would be, file a variance, we'll look at the golf course back there, lots of space. It's different than the other houses that back up to each other within the Highlands. Maybe you should take each variance on its own, because knowing that there are a couple that are within at 30 feet or 31 feet is the one that I've got a site plan that was submitted that way, and that's at 31 feet. Or the fourth or the third option, or whichever option would be to amend have Don make a request to amend the PUD.
I mean, if there's others that are already possibly non-compliant, then maybe it makes sense to amend it so that it's all consistent.
Well, I mean, and I have a few customers out there and I know one of them is probably within 35 feet and I know the other one's neighbor is probably within that. To go back, just a clarification, you want to build the 3-season porch or a 4-season porch back there. So that's the purpose of this. So that's my opinion on it is it's already done out there. You build on the golf course for the view. When you want to do a view, you want to build a 3-season porch or a big deck or a 4-season porch for that view. If you didn't want that view, you wouldn't have built out there or bought out there. I know there's several homes out there that have from decks to 3-season to 4 seasons. So I am okay of doing whatever better for Don and any other residents out there to change that to 30 feet. If that makes it better and still enjoy that view, that's the way that I would lean on that.
Some of those, whenever I hook my drive into the tall grass on number 10, I happen to look up and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of backyard there. It slopes off quick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Versus.
Depends on the property
The
though
first
too.
number of them, I think.
That's the question, I guess, is the downside if we were to recommend that PUD be altered. The only party that probably could be injured would be the golf course, right?
Well, to me, amending the PUD allows it on the interior lots as well.
Yeah, right. So that's one question is, do we just limit it to?
The exterior, the golf coursing,
Yeah, or do we just, the whole subdivision that's subject to that developer's agreement? That'd be another question. But the golf course has some outlots as buffers anyway.
They do.
On all those holes, I think. We can look at the plats. Yeah.
I haven't hit a house yet, so there's a little bit of room.
when you go over them.
Of course, I don't hook, I slice. If you chose to look at it as an individual variance, then you have you could set the criteria that will allow it to 30 feet based on your backing up to the golf course, and there's 35 acres of space back there, you're not backing up.
And that's probably the best way to approach that is to do a variance versus doing a straight up.
And that is not gonna set a precedence in my mind for a 5-foot variance anywhere else in town because nobody else is backing up to the golf course.
Yeah, the only question is, should we just be neater about it instead of saving future variance requests and just say, amend the PUD along the golf course? Is that?
But is it along the golf course or is that the whole subdivision?
Well, I suppose it could be narrowed, couldn't it, Matt, to
It could,
those lots, the specific lots.
if we feel it's appropriate. Yeah, I mean,
I think
the variance we gotta conjure up just like we do for Schuman, trying to find practical difficulty when maybe there isn't one. But there's ways to find that.
Usually. Not always. Not always.
Ladies, what's your opinion?
Yeah, because we just want to come out of here with some direction for Don, because it's a 2-month process, of course.
So
It would be a 2-month process starting now. He'd have to apply. Well, it would be a 3-month process. So he doesn't have an application here for a variance.
But with the PUD, do we have to do a public hearing?
Yeah.
And then we have to,
Ideally, we give him direction. He can get the application into us if we're going to go with a variance, and then we can get the letters out.
for PUD, same thing. We get notices out and publish.
Is it all built along there, all finished along there? All the lots are sold along there?
minus
Geez, I think-
1 or 2. I know there's one up there, Jason is his name, big guy. They have a lot up there. His wife owns a retirement home, nursing home. God, I don't know.
It might be one, because they built the last one down by the,
By that answer, I think there's one left.
Whatever.
but,
The next guy wants to build, and he says, can I go 40 feet? That's just only 5 feet more than this extra 5 feet. That might be a problem.
That's the other way around.
right, but you'd be setting a standard.
You mean 25 feet?
You'd be setting a standard on the variance now, saying we will allow up to 30 feet, considering that there are some out there that are at 30 feet anyway, or thereabouts. And that would be then you've got something in stone.
The only other reason I want to do a PUD is if you get a super nitpicky title company or lender that checks into all this and they think that one of the other existing properties has a non-conforming structure,
It's a good point.
create a problem with giving a loan.
Because they didn't get a variance.
So if we just do a PUD, Don doesn't have to do anything then,
Well-
correct?
But we still have a public hearing.
But I mean, but it's not really, we're just changing the covenants of the subdivision. And once that gets changed, then Don can
Somebody
go
has to
ahead and build
request
that.
though, don't they?
Yeah, would the request wouldn't want to come from us, would it, ma'am?
Yeah.
A request from the,
Zoning.
from planning and zoning to amend the PUD? Oh, okay.
Yeah. We feel like, I think the initial agreement with Bigelow should be changed, and especially with Don's request and the other properties that maybe have been creeping past into 35% setback, then we can just say we're going to initiate this.
What do you think? Yeah.
When I mentioned this last year, I talked about any of the neighbors that this would affect. One of mine was excited, they would like to do too. So there's a, I started with Steve Johnson on the other side of the office, has one.
Well, and Kirkpatrick has one, and who's ever on the other side of Kirkpatrick has one, so I mean,
What's the address of the one of Steve's?
Steve Johnson.
Yeah.
he's 2 from you, right?
He's right next to me.
Okay,
Just to the
east, southeast, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the only one who get excited are people who were told that they had to go, they had 35 instead of 30, and they built that way. Or golf course, I suppose.
But they wouldn't be included into the public hearing
Right.
notice,
Get notice.
yeah.
So if we amend the PUD for all of Highlands, well, no, it would just be those golf course lots, but all of Highlands would have to get a letter, right? Since they're in part of the original PUD.
Probably. It's not gonna be.
Guess who gets to do that?
I thought Kim does
No,
those.
Automation on the computer.
And there's not, what, 6 or 7 now island subdivisions, the one down on the other side of
And I think there's more, because Bigelow's planning on probably opening another phase here sooner than later.
So do we across the board, all of them, or just the ones up, the original subdivision and down Gulfview Avenue, or whatever that's called?
Who's
And
that?
because there's already PUDs down in the second subdivision, where like patio homes are and all that, I wouldn't want to mess with that at all.
But what do they say as far as their setbacks?
Patio homes are 25.
I think those are much more condensed housing, and I think that there's different parameters down there. I believe you want to leave all that out on the east side.
Right.
Well, in my opinion, if we're gonna do it at the top, we should do it on the bottom that runs along the course too.
This is the Highlands there.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to envision some of those homes
Highlands being upper.
there.
Yeah.
That's all
Single
condensed,
family.
that's all,
These are townhomes, but those are
it's all higher
designated lots.
density stuff.
Is that different?
Yeah.
And they're already.
These are all single family R1.
Yeah.
They are tight, yeah, we just mowed a new Bigelow.
25, yeah. Should just be,
But I would prefer, let's just do it all up on top and be done with it, because if we have other people. But I think we need to, and obviously time's gonna change that 2 years, 5 years, somebody says, I want 25 feet. We already did it 30 just to accommodate,
Draw the line.
Yeah.
For these reasons, we took
yeah,
the
for these reasons, we change it and the way the lots are and
do you want to change it for all the lots that even back onto each other? Is that what you're thinking? Or just the ones-
I would preferably, I would just do the lots that are run along the course.
I agree.
Only those.
Only those.
Not the ones on the other side of Gulfview Avenue.
I want, I mean, if it's easy
Now,
enough
there are
to,
some lots along number 8 though, and number 9, 10.
oh, Kristen Johnson has one, but she really don't have a view to benefit from that because her yacht lot goes up and then goes down to the course. And most of them have a high berm.
So where I hook my drive on 8, just to Doug Borshaw's backyard, those are the ones.
Yeah, he called and complained about your ball the other day. But it's just like Kelly Johnson's, same thing with her, or Pascal or whatever. I mean, her lot goes up.
I didn't even look at that side of the course when I was doing my research. Because there's porches back there.
Well, maybe as at the public hearing, that could be an issue that would be brought up, and we could adjust it at that time.
Or is it just easier to do it all and be done in that whole subdivision,
On the west side.
on all of it?
Not down where all.
Not below, but I mean, I'm talking about the upper part.
Yeah.
It's all Highland though.
Well, the exterior lots, right? Because you got that teardrop. And you don't want to mess with that.
Well, one of the teardrops just got a
We already
variance,
amended one in
yeah.
there to
They
30
did,
feet.
but that's a little different because
There was
it's,
that odd
they
lot.
Yeah.
back up lot to lot. It's not open to the. open
I don't know. I
Remember the
just,
variance we just granted a few months ago for that one interior?
A triangular.
that's the one, yeah, that's the one.
What was that for?
Because of the lot size, they couldn't build their house and get the square footage to do it within the
It didn't
setback.
have anything to do with the rear yard setback.
No,
I think there's.
Well, it did because of the angle.
yeah.
It averaged 30 feet, but
It was a rear setback that we,
So could this have resolved that problem or not, what we're talking about today?
Could that one?
that was a different,
Or just,
but same time.
you go down this path and then you realize, oh crap, now we messed up these people or this gang, you just gotta think about that, but.
It'll make those interior lots, 10 foot,
yeah.
potentially they're
I
10
don't
foot,
like
10
that.
feet closer.
I don't know, I
5 on
mean,
each lot.
Don bought that house because he wanted the view. Everybody else bought that house because they wanted the view.
Well,
And now they want to enjoy that view, so that, I mean, I would think they would almost do the exterior.
if we did say the exterior lots in the development, if they got the berm up behind them, they're not gonna wanna do anything anyway, so what's the difference? If we just said all the exterior lots could go 30 foot.
See, and Kristen Johnson has a roof over her patio, but I think she's 35 feet or more. From the property line, so I don't think that's an issue there.
You gotta give, view is getting subjective. You don't wanna give discriminatory treatment. If you're a lot owner of a lot subdivision on the golf course, would you be upset if you're still stuck with a 35-foot setback when all those other lots have 30?
So is it just gonna be better just to do it all and that just, I mean, I'm just asking, I mean, is it, I get it.
But those interior lots, if you start putting those 10 feet closer together, well, they're all built up anyway, so that makes a lot of difference, really, for most things. What do you think on that one, Don?
I'm thinking I'd like to see done whatever you can do is absolutely. Pretty sure I'm gonna lose my contractor again this year, so. This whole process is, the only reason I bought it was not to deal with the Four Seasons doors, even though what my backyard looked like. And he said we can sell the house, but I want the Four Seasons doors.
Oh.
Okay, so we bought it, it's in the backyard with the realtor. He never mentioned the order about setback, and I think 35. Called City Hall, and told 30. I thought I didn't have enough room, but in the process of drawing the plans, Tim and the guys and the architect showed up at my house. We looked and measured. He asked if we had the original plans. We pulled them out, and in the plans are 2 drawings from the builder, the developer. It says my house is 46.8 from the lot line. I want to go at 16. Well, my original measurements were off. So instead of being 8 inches short, I had 8 inches to go. So I bring those plans down here and show them, and then I find out that it's not 30, it's 35. So now instead of being 8 inches extra, I'm 4'4" short. So I know Tim and the guys have 2 houses to put up. The guy's trying to finish those plans, and he's trying to finish my plans. So if I don't get going real quick, I'm gonna lose Tim as a year.
Why don't you slope after, once you get into that setback, or is it still pretty flat all the way
When
back?
I get into the golf course,
Just to your rear lot line before you get to the big.
no, my lot line is not bad at all. And it goes out a fair distance. It's got some slope before it really starts to pitch. I mow around that pine tree on the 11th tee. I went and talked to the golf course. I can't stop the bull thistles from coming up from the golf course into my backyard. So last year I started to mow, I sprayed, I've already sprayed the golf course back behind me. I go down about 100 feet and mow and spray.
The only reason I asked, we can't count their outlot, but the only reason I asked is would it just be simpler to try to figure out a variance rather than
I don't know.
mess around with
Golf course
changing the
agrees with
PUD?
it.
Pardon me?
So I know my neighbors are fine.
Yeah.
The only problem I have is the golf course doesn't agree.
I'm just trying to justify.
Because they're new tee up.
Change the PUD.
This one here goes that way, so he's away from anything, so he's seeing
Prevented you,
wild grass.
made it more challenging to put a structure back there than maybe that's enough of a practical difficulty.
No, the 16-foot on one lot is not a problem according to Tim or anybody else that I've talked to as far as adding on to mine.
Is it almost better just to do a variance?
That's what I was just getting at.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can though.
Don't have a good reason.
What's the practical difficulty? If we cite because we've got an outlot and a golf course out back, I don't know, does that give some other?
Somebody says I got a cornfield and a pine tree, why can't I do it? Yeah.
Right, yeah. Or I've got an abnormally large lot at the intersection of County 6 and 58.
What are you talking about?
Just throwing out hypotheticals.
So almost
itemized golf course on there. As the mitigating thing. If you have a golf course behind you, you can be the 30 feet.
So it'd be better just to do a PUD, deciding which way we want to do it, if we're doing the whole area or if we're doing all the outlots. But you get all the
By
inner,
Bigelow as a buffer between like Don's lot and the actual golf course. That's where like some of the tall grass.
so Bigelow owns a section of that all the way around between the homeowner and the golf course?
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally think we should just do all the exterior lots, do the golf course.
I agree.
Because there ain't many interior lots, and all the interior lots are the teardrops, the one we did a variance before, and the other one, so you look at it. That's my opinion.
I agree.
You wanna make that motion then, Tommy?
Sure. I move that we consider amending the PUD for the islands to allow for a 30-foot setback on the lots that abut the golf course, the exterior lots.
All lots that border on the golf course.
Right.
But not down below, whatever, not on the
But
east side.
you wanna get a little hairy, we got a few of them lots that don't butt the golf course, but we got that farm, where Tina and Dahlin have built.
Yeah.
That's why I
Those
said
wouldn't be
golf,
part of
that's why I
Okay.
said golf
Okay,
course.
and I agree, cause Heather Preston, I know, she don't butt up to, I think she's more that pasture of the farm. She's a little bit further down, but
That
you
could
get
be- That could be houses before we know it.
But even the new lower part, all those lots would be conducive to this, in my opinion, as well.
Well, let's see how they propose the PUD when they do
Oh,
that.
the new lower part?
Yeah, where they're building now,
some of them butt up to the golf course.
You're gonna have to examine that as it happens. I know some
That's
of those are
separate.
platted, but sometimes Bigelow will do a certain cluster of higher density or patio
Yeah.
homes, and you don't wanna be messing with that
Yeah.
yet.
oh, for sure,
Leave that to them.
But
I
not,
just-
but not abutting the golf course. Those higher density ones are usually off the golf course. So I think abutting would be a word that would just capture, for the most part, single-family dwellings around the golf course.
I guess I'm thinking just sticking with this
We might-
separate development for now.
I would say when we propose this, we're gonna have to identify it, go lot by lot.
Or phase, or actual subdivision 1 or 2, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'd say even lot by lot, because there might be some that are close.
Lock your device.
There might be some that are close, or they're, a corner abuts the golf course, and does that include me or not?
Yeah, I get it.
That'd be
I'm okay with that.
That'd be appropriate.
And we can address some other phases down below later.
The interesting thing is this PUD was kind of just part of the developer's agreement more than anything else. But,
Just going by city standards, that's why they came up with 35, but not
Well-
taking that.
I think that's the way Bigelow's done PUDs in the past, is we'll just kind of approve it in the developer's agreement and leave it at that. But we'll have to treat it as a zoning amendment, it's like an overlay over the normal R1. Is all that R1 on some of that's R2 down there, isn't it?
Oh, the lower part.
Down below with the higher density, for sure. But yeah.
Huh?
Second?
Oh, sorry, yeah, motion on the floor, isn't there? I think you're gonna run the meeting, I'm sorry, Todd.
No, that's fine.
Did you second that?
I don't know, did I?
Put you down.
Sure,
Press me.
I did.
Any further discussions?
Can you say it again? After all the discussion.
This is what I have. Motion amending the PUD for the Highlands on exterior lot which border on the golf course. But then
And then we'll make them detail lot 1, lot 2, block, whatever that,
Specific lots to
Yeah.
be identified.
Is border good, or is a butt a better legal term?
What,
Is a butting better than bordering, or either or?
yeah, buddy.
Right, sure. I'll go with the second.
so we have,
That the specific lot will be identified.
And if, all right, so now we're in discussion, so somebody who doesn't own one of those lots says, why are you only doing it with golf course lots? Why can't I do it over here on this side? You know, a person who's down by Tina's or up that other side, and we're gonna say, because you don't have a nice view.
No.
What's our?
I will.
Because the development
Because
potential
there's
isn't
yeah,
there.
there's a potential for
Yep.
more development.
Right.
And inter lots abutting each other. We don't
Yeah.
want to get 10 feet closer.
Right.
On those. In these cases, the golf course goes on forever, so it makes sense.
I agree with that.
Sure.
That's a good. Perfect. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0.
So
Thanks.
we should,
Scheduled.
I'm trying to remember the procedure here, but I'm assuming we should set a public hearing for next month.
Yep.
And get notices mailed out.
Right now. Yep.
You'll be busy, Kurt.
And that would be, since we are amending the Highlands or requesting to amend the Highlands PUD, it should go to all of Highlands, even the lower parts.
Well,
We're,
we gotta look at that developers agreement, because, you know, there are phases. There were
Fourth.
firsts.
my intention is just the upper ones, not the lower ones.
Yeah, I think this is all fourth.
Is this for everybody?
Well, if you just want
It's
to do
all on
it
the
for
golf
fourth,
course, abutting the golf course?
I think this is fourth, I believe. If we just do it for that encompasses everything up above.
Yeah,
That's my
that's how I
intent.
would leave it.
That's the intent.
But first goes
Public meeting.
along 8 and 9.
Okay, so there's first. And do we want to pick?
We're not talking, I didn't.
That's why I think we need to do lot by lot, say, lot 8, block 1, Highlands first, lot 9, block 1, Highlands
Sure.
first, lot 2, block 1, Highlands fourth.
Okay.
And I just don't want people to say, why are you picking up only on them? Or why are you allowing it only on theirs?
But I also think then we also need to include Christian Johnson's because she butts up. And I'm using her because I mow hers or even Kelly's. They butt up, but their backyard goes up.
Right, yeah. we should be-
Several, I mean, they're probably go up 20
Yeah,
feet
they
from the
should be
base.
included.
They should be included.
Yeah.
But, because we can use that thing as that, hey, there's no development that could happen back there because you
Right.
still butt up to the golf course.
Right.
Now you get up by the cows or the farm or
That's a
whatever.
different story.
Yeah.
Who are we to say, they'll never build out that far anyway? They could.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's the age-old thing that we run into, 30 years from now, somebody's gonna be sitting here going, what were they thinking?
Guaranteed.
None of us have been
Me
here
all
for
the
that.
time.
I know it.
It does?
Somebody in your position will say, well, I would have done that. You know, and then memories fade, and it's like, yeah, why did we do that? And then, no, you can't find the minutes.
It's recorded now.
30 years, ask me how I like
Sounds good.
So we have to set a motion to do the public hearing.
Public hearing?
Motion for a public hearing, it will be September 13th at 5:35.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Todd.
I did.
Thank you.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. I think that's all we need now.
And then if that's approved, nobody objects, or if there are objections, we'll have to consider it, and then it would have to be rubber stamped, possibly rubber stamped by the council at the next meeting.
Which will be the 15th.
Yep, and we have to get a letter to Tony Bigelow as well, for the builder, or the developer.
Sure.
Yeah. They own those outlots.
Yep.
Perfect. Any other?
And I suppose the other, sorry, the obvious other justification is there's already some that are within the 35. We're trying to bring them into compliance.
Forgiveness rather than permission.
Well, yeah. Good point. Any other? Don?
So, yeah, this hearing on the 13th, it's approved, and rubber stamp it on the 15th.
You could start digging on the 16th,
I think they're on the 16th.
correct?
I would think you can apply for the permit while this is going on, so yes. It only takes a few days for Roger and Casey to do those reviews, so. Yep, I would say, knowing this is going on, I would apply for the permit and have the plan review. Well, you're gonna be taking a chance, because if we run into a lot of resistance and for some reason it's not approved, then you would be out the plan review fee.
But I assume you've already talked to some of your neighbors. And you probably, yeah.
But that would be your only, the only factor that you'd, want to consider, but I would get it going if I were you.
Anything else? Ladies? Kurt? Ryan? Good. Meeting adjourned. 6:21. Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
What do we got now?
Okay, it's on us now.
What do you mean, down? Oh, okay. Is that at 6:30?
Yeah, so basically.
Better get
building
going.
Permit application.
Well, how fun is that?
You get a, hey, Jim, do we have building permits for?
I get one. I can. I can have one, I can drop one off at the shop if you want me to.
If you want to stop and see me again, I'm getting used to it.
I can drop one off.
Okay, sounds good.
You have a leisure, you're a leisurely kind of guy.
You got some work, Kurt?
I do. Bailing.
And figuring out what lot and block.
No, I didn't say you, we're all. Oh, well, yeah, you're that too, but man, you're tall. Holy cow.
Second call's my family.
Second tallest.
Brian, you want to disconnect the recording?
No, wait a minute, wait a minute.